So this is a Kroger's beef ribeye roast that's normally $16.99 a pound. I got it for $5.97. So it's roughly 18.93 pounds. So let's say 19 pounds. I saved $190 on this. So I'm getting ribeyes for $5.98 a pound, which is typically less than what you pay for hamburger. It's kind of crazy. But what I'm going to do is this is called a primal, and I'm going to break this down. I'm going to use some kitchen knives that are typically found everywhere because most of you don't have butcher knives. This should be fun. So I'm going to use this knife here, which you should have, and a chef's knife to cut these steaks up. So I'm going to go off of here. We're just going to cut this open. You want to do this in the sink because there's going to be a ton of blood in there. And so let me do that right now, and then I'll come back. Okay, and we're back. And this is what it looks like here. We're going to turn this up. This is the fatty part. And then here's our bones on this side. And we're going to start with this like this. Okay. And we're going to go grab our other knife that we have here. I'm going to keep the water running. You may hear it from time to time because I wash my hands off quite a bit. And you want to have a bunch of paper towels ready too. So normally, if you have a sharpener, what you want to do is run this by here like this, and it'll get it nice and sharp. It'll make a big difference. And so all we're going to do is we want to make this a boneless ribeye, right? So we've got to find out where our last bone is. And there's the thing why I like about these is because normally they trim off the fat. The fat's the best part. So if you can see these bones down here, I'm just going to cut along them a little bit. And we can actually go up here, and I don't mind it because I'm going to use these bones, and they taste great. If you've never had fresh rib bones, and I'm just cutting down, would be this the whole way. And no, I'm not a professional butcher. We used to butcher our own steers, and this is something anybody can do. So, and this will take a minute, but I do this a lot, and you can eat like a king on a pauper's budget if you do this. So, and I'm just gonna pull this away here a little bit, and you don't have to be in a big hurry. And sharp knives are, I've got to take this back in here. I was getting away from the bone, and it'll help guide you, and you can't mess this up, right? So you can see I'm starting to separate this here. It's starting to come apart. I got a little bit extra meat on that part, but that's okay. It's not really going to mean anything. And then you just keep working your way down. And we're almost done. In beef rib bones, these taste great. So I'm almost done here. Come back and do it this way. Got one little bit more here to go. And ta-da. And that's it. So we've got these bones. I'll break these down further. What I like to do is do them in twos. We'll come back to this in a minute. I'm going to grab my platter here and put these on the side. And now for the fun part. So basically, we've got a boneless ribeye right here. There's always going to be one flat side that's semi-flat, and the other side, if you can see this, is cut off at an angle. I'm going to start going from big to large on this one. And the first thing I want to do is I want to square this up. So I'm going to take the chef's knife here, which I've sharpened. And like I said, this isn't the reason I'm doing this is because everybody has these, right? And first thing I'm going to do is wipe off my hands a little bit, rinse them again. Use warm water. And then my first cut here is, let me make sure I got this in frame, is I'm just going to start out with, and you can use it, line it up on your cutting board. And if you don't have a big enough cutting board, just simply cut this in half and you can work with it easier there. So going here, and you just go straight up and down. And there you can go. This is actually, look at this marbling in here. This is really good for 5.97 a pound. Woo, a deal. And then you want to make sure you have a big platter for your steaks. And then I have a separate one for my ribs. I'm going to put this over here. So that's our first cut. You can see it's not exactly even, but the rest of the steaks will. And this will cook up just fine. Doesn't bother me a bit. So, and then I'm going to make about 1-inch steaks here. And you just cut straight down through. And there we go. That's about a perfect steak right there. And you can also have the butcher do these, but they butcher them sometimes. And it's more fun. This way you can just grab them, do them at home. There's a sense of accomplishment here. So we'll just do another one. And this literally can be done in less than 10 minutes. And then I just put them in vacuum seal bags in my food saver. And I have steaks for days. And there's another one. That thing's a beauty. Look at this. Perfect ribeye. Less than you pay for. You can't even get a Big Mac for that. This is probably about 7.5, 8 ounces. I would say I could get the scale out, but I don't really care. And you can also cut them thinner too. And because I have so many of these other ones, I've already got full ribs. And there's another one. And you just stack those puppies up over here like this. And you just cut till you're done. We'll do another one. Move the knife out of the way. And if you point your finger, you'll get a much easier cut on this. And let the knife do the work. Okay. Don't force it. And that's why you got to make sure you have a sharp knife before you set. And then there's another one. Look at these beauties. So I'm doing about 99.9% carnivore these days. So for me, this is a treat. I usually eat hamburger, I'll eat pork, and I eat ribeyes. Some people don't eat pork, but that's your loss, not mine. And so I can just cut through the whole ribeye, and they're going to get bigger and bigger, and they're going to weigh more. And they usually cut this fat off. You don't want to do that. That's like the best part. So we've got our stacked up over here. I don't know if you can see this in frame. So I haven't shot a video in a while, so you just have to bear with me. That one's a little bit bigger. And look at that. We have another great steak. This just gets me all excited. And if you're watching this, you're probably like me. Now, the other thing is I could leave about this big of a section. I end up with about a 5-pound roast, but I don't want to because I've got I've got plenty of other ones. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut a little bit thinner. So I'm just going to go maybe, this is about 5/8 for those of you that pay attention and know how to read a ruler. It's a little bit over half, not quite 3/4. And again, if you point your finger, you get a nice, even, straight cut all the way down. And if they're not perfect, it's not the end of the world. There's another one. See, it's a little bit thinner there. That's perfectly fine. And I'll put these together by the size. And if you use your fingers, hopefully you can see this. I'm just putting this here to get it started. And then I'm just going to cut straight. And because of the chef's knives, they have a big flat head. Once you get it going, it's almost impossible. No, it's really hard to get it to not cut straight down. And especially if you get it done right. So there you go. See, it's a little bit thinner. This is all good. I'm going to go there. We'll stack that bad boy up. Do another couple of these. And this is typically what I'll break my fast with. Maybe 4 or 5 eggs with this. And you've got one heck of a meal. And I get my protein up there. And since I've been doing carnivore, I've been doing keto for almost 9 years now. Since I switched over to carnivore on August 1st, can't say I've ever felt better. It's crazy. And one of the reasons why is that, and there's a bunch of people on YouTube that have done this before, and I didn't think about shooting videos on all this, but if you have arthritis or any aches and pains in your joints, this will absolutely almost positively get rid of them. There we go. Nice big ribeye. And I'm going to cut this whole thing up here. We'll hurry this up. I may have the girls speed this up, but maybe not. It's not going to be that long of a video because I want you to see how long this takes in real time. It's not bad at all. If I wasn't yakking so much, and I usually have music, beef cutting music in the background, just jam out on whatever trips your trigger. And we're going to do another one. Cut all. I don't know how many that is, but it's quite a bit. Still cutting straight here. Is a little bit off kilter, but that's okay. And these last couple I'm going to make nice and thick. And again, we have another one. And for this bad boy, I'm going to flip this around because this doesn't quite fit on there. Got some meat on there. Then you can always clean it up. Just use a 10% bleach solution if you're worried about germs. Although we're there. And you can see what happened here. This would actually be a nice little decent roast, but we're going to cut them up into steaks because that's what we're doing. Kind of cut a nice big fatty here. And this, believe it or not, this knife is getting duller. Has gotten dull. You got to be a little careful here. Like I said, just don't get your fingers in the way. Because as easy as it cuts through the steak, it'll do the same thing to your finger. And we'll good. So that's a nice big ribeye right there. And then this one, I think I'm just going to leave whole. I'm not going to even bother cutting it up. Although you could cut this up in stew meat or anything that you want. If you have a slicer, you can run it through there. But I'm just going to leave this thing whole. So this is a monster. This is probably a pound and a half, almost 2 pounds. So let's do the steak count here. See what we got out of this on this yield. Let me just put this up inside here. Rinse my hands off. Get some of the blood off. So what we've got here is, let's see here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So most of these guys are coming out over a pound, about a pound and a quarter. We had 20 pounds. So pound and a half even, which is perfectly fine for me. This will about keep me. I eat between a pound and a half and 2 pounds of meat a day. So that's it. For less than a Big Mac, especially on this one, for less than a price of a Happy Meal, you can have wonderful looking prime rib that's super duper healthy for you. And it's amazing. So look up what the carnivore diet does. And you got to remember, they lied to us back in the 60s, and this is still going out there. The guys at Harvard that were doing the studies, the sugar industry got winds of it. You can do it. Sugar industry, fat hooks, it's everywhere out there. They got paid off to change everything that you hear about fat being bad for you. That was an actual sugar study. They got paid to change out fat to sugar. And it's friggin' crazy because it's caused, I don't know, hundreds of millions, if not a billion deaths since then. And there's still doctors that haven't figured that out. I mean, it's available there. Go Google it. Okay. Don't believe me. Go Google it. And that's the same thing with any information about anything. Triple, quadruple check it. And don't believe Google. Go check it on Bing and the other ones. But there's a great study on it. It was about 50 years ago. and they just royally killed off so many people. And so what happens is, especially as you get older, you need more protein. And if you want better cognitive capabilities, that's the main thing I did this so I could make more money, swear to Bob. And that your body, it takes half as much energy to convert this chunk of fat for your brain and the energy than it does carbohydrates. So your body has to work twice as hard. This is like throwing a big log on the fire, and carbohydrates are like flipping off matches. You have to go through them a lot. There's just a nasty mess when it's done, and they just jack up your system. Your mitochondria has to work twice as hard to get the energy out of carbohydrates as it does fat. There are no essential carbohydrates, okay? And that's why women that do veganism have a really high cancer rate, and they have one of the highest dementia rates of anywhere in the world, of any population out there. And if you look at the blue zones, that whole blue zone things was a flipping another hoax. They cherry picked the data. The people that actually lived the longest were in Hong Kong, who had the highest meat consumption. Although you're going to have to dig deep to find out that one. But this is about cutting meat. So the total yield on that, let's do this again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, that's a little bit better. And this sucker is a biggie. So anyway, that's how you break down a primal. We just saved 190, almost $200, and I get to eat steak for $5.97 a pound, less than a Big Mac, less than a flipping Big Mac meal, and it's way healthier. So follow us at the Longer Crowbar. So in the Longer Crowbar, we talk about how to get more leverage in your life in health, wealth, and relationships. That's everything that goes on in your life. And relationships include your love life, your business life, your friends, your acquaintances. And if you can fix and get more leverage in all three of those areas, you've got it made. And you need leverage to get ahead. You cannot be part of the sheeple. Okay. Sheeple eat plants. We eat the animals that eat plants. I'm not kidding you. About 99% of the wealthiest people I know are doing keto and carnivore. I kid you not. People that are making $1 million a month, all of the people that I hang out with that do that, they're either keto or carnivore. I don't know one single vegan that makes that much money. I'm sure they're out there, but for whatever it's worth, I just wanted to throw that in there. Thanks a bunch. And if you like it, follow us. If not, don't. That's okay. Cool. Hope you got something out of this. So we saved almost $200 doing this. And if you're on a budget, you can eat like a king instead of like a slave, because grains were developed. You got to remember this. One last little tidbit. Grains were developed to keep the slaves alive, and the royalty always ate meat. When they introduced grains, roughly 5,000 or 6,000 years ago, or however long you want to take it, the normal man was 6 feet tall. They shrunk 10 inches. They went down to 5'10". The Phoenicians, they became short. They got arthritis. They had all kinds of problems. And they usually gave the slaves gruel and lots of carbohydrates because they had enough energy to work, and they maybe get 80% of them. But the most important part is they couldn't think. They couldn't rebel. They couldn't get their act together, and they're docile. That's why grains were introduced. I'm sure you didn't learn that in the history books, but that's the whole reason grains were introduced, to keep the slaves happy and feed them so they could have more slaves. Up until that point, everybody pretty much ate meat as a normal part of the routine, and they didn't have the harvesters and everything else to stockpile the grain. When we started consuming grain as a whole, as humanity, we shrunk 10 inches, and then it was mostly for slave food. So if you want to eat, if you want to become a slave, keep eating boxed food, keep eating all those healthy whole grains and all the other stupid stuff. Do your own research, and you'll thank me for it later. These are in the bag, and you got some nice looking ribeyes there. And then you got the food saver, which should be called the money saver, and seal these up. And again, 18 months on these easily, a year for sure. Although these won't last 6 months, the way I eat. So that's it. And Get a nice big ribeye for less than going to McDonald's or Wendy's or any of these other junk food places that are trying to kill you. And especially Chick-fil-A, which has enough MSG in it to kill a horse. It's like one of their main ingredients. And if you have kids, you should check out why they banned it in baby food in 1968 because it causes permanent brain damage to children, but especially babies. So I'm going to do this, see if I can make these longer. So I've got my ribs over here. I've got another smaller ribeye in the refrigerator here. Let's go looking. We got the turkey going. And let's see what we got. I got to take the bones out of here. This is only like a 7 or 8 pounder. I don't remember what it was. Got a little bagged up. Let's see here. 8.87. There we go. Almost 9 pounds. I'll probably cut this in two so that I could have a rib roast, which is great. I love them. And I'll have to do a recipe on that. That's it. Andreas is signing off for the Longer Crowbar. See ya.